What is up? Thank you for coming to my channel, Prison POV. Shout out to the joiners, shout out to the point of view crew, and let's just kick this video off like this. So way back in the day, two things happened simultaneously that definitely averted my path. It definitely put me on a path, changed my course, altered my gaze, whatever kind of fancy little thing you come up with. Bro, got my attention for damn sure. And that was, first I saw 21 Jump Street. 21 Jump Street. And that night, some things I never heard of before. And skinheads. What are these rebellious, these skinheads were on the show. I can't remember the exact sequence of events that happened or how they played out in the show, but I remember being in a trance watching these skinheads. Like, what is this? Then immediately after 21 Jump Street, I watched the local news, and it said at West High School, some student skinheads got in a riot with some other students. And I thought, damn, what is up with these skinheads? I want to be part of that. I want to be in. I want to be a skinhead. I am a skinhead. Who's going to tell me I'm not? Because not only were two things going on simultaneously, but a third. And that was my strong desire to belong to something. Because if you'll ask a gang expert, anyone in that field, they'll tell you that the young man that'd be interested in joining a gang would be the one that not raised by his father, does not have strong family structure, strong foundation. I didn't have any of that. I was not raised with my dad. I was not raised in any kind of stable environment at all. So when I see that, something to offer camaraderie and offer family, I was all over it, man. I thought to myself, I want to be a skinhead. Even my current situation, my living situation, I was in the 9th grade. I always wanted to live with my dad, and I finally moved in with them. Then I went away to summer camp, and when I came out of summer camp, instead of going back to my dad, I went with my aunt and uncle. And I was like, how'd this happen? And this particular aunt and uncle, my aunt Alicia and Uncle Ron, it left a foul taste in my mouth. Something happened in the past. So this was 9th grade. I moved back in with them. I lived with all my aunt and uncles at various times. But in the 5th grade, I lived with Alicia and Ron. They lived out in the fields, out in the desert, out by a canal, all this, all this area. So it was really exciting in the morning when my Uncle Ron woke me up and said, hey man, hey, you want a motorcycle? And I thought, a motorcycle? Yeah, that'd be awesome. He's like, you could ride it all over? And I was like, yeah. So we went into Bakersfield, because it's on the outskirts, and we spent like 2-3 hours looking in the newspaper, motorcycles for sale, looking at various motorcycles, what color you like the best, trying on helmets, wrenching on a couple, test driving a couple, and I was on cloud 9 in the truck on the way back to the house thinking, cool, I wonder which one I'm going to get. And he's like, you want a motorcycle, huh? And I said, yeah. And he said, all right, now get a hold of your mom and tell her to start paying child support, and then we'll be able to get you a motorcycle. And I was like, you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to put the car, we were on the freeway, about 70 miles an hour, I wanted to throw it from drive to park. That's the first thing I thought of when he said to me, I'm going to stall this vehicle out. And I would have if it wasn't a stick shift. Even then I'm thinking, can I grind the clutch out? Can I grind it into reverse? I'm going to throw this thing in park doing 70. I didn't cuss much, but I was thinking, physical cost. Dude, what a POS. So now I'm living with them, but then I end up then I blush brothers. Then I end up moving back in with my dad. As you can tell, I was excited about it. And I was really excited about the move I pulled because I was failing. Living with Alicia and Ron at South Highs, get all F's. Of course I was. I didn't try. I didn't want to try. Failure was my middle name. But going back with my dad, and they wanted my report card. And I'm knowing I can't show up those F's. So I turned them all into B's, and I put it through the Xerox machine. I showed up, and they went for it. They fell for it, and I was like, yeah, I love it when a plan comes together. So I'm at a new school, Highland High, and I'm scoping out. I'm looking for skinheads. I want to join like skinheads. I want to find some. I don't see any, but I see the next best thing. This dude named Roland is a punk rocker. And I'm sweating. My cousin tells me the air on. The motherfucking air ain't on. You sure the air's on? Fine, Roland. He's a punk rocker. Doc Martens, cut off Dickies, Dead Kennedy shirt. He starts ditching school a lot. Not start. He was ditch school a lot. I start ditching school a lot. Hanging out his pad. Telling my desire, bro, I want to meet some skinheads and click up with them. We start going to this girl named Johnny's house. It was down the street from him. She knew all kinds of skinheads, and I was always hanging out with her. That was like my new best friend. In fact, one of the scariest things that ever happened to me at Johnny's house. Because her bed's up on like stilts. I don't know if it was up on books, up on bricks, and there's like a little cubby hole under her bed. And so I'm a runaway. And so she's hiding me from her mom, and I'm sleeping in that little cubby hole, and I'm curled up in like the fetal, and I wake up in the middle of the night, and it's pitch black. And I don't know where I'm at, and I can't find any kind of exit, because the little opening in and out is kind of small, and I just start screaming, ah! She's like, quiet, my mom's gonna come. I'm like, cool, tell her to bring my mom too. And an ambulance. Help! Calmed me down. That was cool and groovy. Ended up meeting the homeboy Chad Brown. That was my dog. Him and I became tighter than 10 toes in a sock. He's the one that put me up on Skinhead on the game, because he was a traditional skinhead. Back in the 60s when Skinhead started, it wasn't about any kind of political movement, no political agenda. It was about the music and the clothing. It was a lifestyle. So you'll still find people today that are only into it for the music and the clothing, and they call themselves traditional skinheads. Not part of any kind of clique organization. That's what he was. Now, at the time in Bakersfield, there was sharp skinheads against racial prejudice. They're about 40 deep. This dude named Jake was in charge of them. There were some dudes, AWS, American White Separatists. They're about 20, 25, 30 deep. A dude named Ray was in charge of them. Chad didn't like either one of them. Hated both of them. Now, I have friends in both camps. I didn't give a rip about the political. I'm a 14-year-old runaway. All that political agenda stuff actually went right over my head. I was into it just for the rebellious spirit of it, for the music, for the hanging out, and the camaraderie. I knew some dudes from AWS. In fact, they had thrown a big party. They always had parties. They were getting motel rooms. And back then, now you get a motel room, they're like, no guest. $100 deposit, and if you have a guest, you can't even get someone to deliver you pizza and they step over the threshold, you lose your $100 deposit. No guest! Back then, you rent a room, and you have 30 deep people in and out. These dudes from AWS always get these rooms, 14-year-old runaway. Hey, all-night room sounds great to me. And this dude, Bomber, the skinhead, he's in his 30s. He has U.S. skins tattooed on the back of his head. Big old crazy scary looking dude. Had a tattoo gun. Told me, hey, you want a tattoo? I'm like, yeah, I do, as a matter of fact. I didn't know what of. I didn't care what of. I'm just thinking anything will do. It's like, yeah, cool. And he didn't break out a pattern and be like, hey, it's going to be this. He's like, all right, come here. Tattooed something very, very political. Hardcore political tattoo to where I'm like, shocking. There was a party next to us. People had graduated, some 18-year-old, and they're in and out drinking. They're coming over to our room, and some of them came over and like, hey, this youngster got a tattoo, and like, drink. Oh, let us see. And they saw that shocking hardcore political tattoo to the point to where when I went to KYF for 6 months at 14 for doing a burglary, whole another story. When I'm in there during the time, one of the COs, one of the guards who's there overseeing the people in KYF, told my dad to visit. Hey, you know your son has a tattoo, hardcore political tattoo on him. My dad's like, what? My dad didn't know, jammed me up about it, insisted I get it removed, which I didn't put up much of a fight because I didn't even want the tattoo there. I didn't even really know what it stands for. It goes over my head. Whatever, Dad. I thought it was cool just getting removed because I was going to be able to go home for a day, at least for a few hours. I was going to have to leave from there, go to a doctor. My dad promised me some fast food and smoke a cigarette. I mean, I thought it was cool. Got the tattoo removed. Ethics, methics. I don't really care. Until a couple years later, 18 years old, I go to Kern County Jail, and the tattoo, even though removed, you can still see it. Plain as day. You could tell exactly what it was. I got cotton mouth. Tell exactly what it was. And I go in there, and people see it, and they're like, all up in my cool, like, what is that? It's like, well, I had a tattoo removed. Like, why did you have that, and why did you get it removed, and what exactly is going on here? And this one dude who was really giving me the blues over it was crazy, because in the 7th grade, I lived in these hardcore druggy apartments called Village Lane. They're druggy hardcore to this day. It's Village Lane, turns into Taylor block, and it's all crazy over there. I lived in Village Lane, and there's this dude always walking around looking crazy. And my mom would tell me to go check the mail, and I'd be like, dang, I hope I don't see that dude. And sometimes I would. I'd be like, damn, that dude's looking crazy. And he was a dude that was in jail, like, what's that? What is that? How come we got removed? And I want to be like, dude, I remember back in the day, I used to see you in the apartments thinking, you look crazy. Now here I am right in front of you, yelling at me, and I'm thinking to myself, you look crazy still. I didn't have a story for him. Like, I don't know. My dad made me. I mean, it's all I had. When I was 18, I get a little pass, first time in jail. Would call my dad. Dad, talk to these guys real quick. Tell them what you said that day. My dad wants to talk to you. I mean, what else am I going to do? They left me alone. They didn't really push the issue. But next time when I came to jail, I had a story for him. But that turned me off to that Bomber doing the whole little thing. Wasn't his hell. So I ended up breaking those skinheads from AWS, had a big skinhead meeting. They always had these scooter rallies, these meetings, these concerts, these big things, these multilateral tri-city things, events, and they had one in Sacramento, and they had like a clubhouse. That's one of the things that attracted me to the whole little clique. They rent the rooms for the parties, and they had like a little clubhouse, so I broke into the clubhouse and took some clothes. I got caught for it, and they ended up beating my ass. But they had a little clique called Strike Force, and I found this sweater, and it said Kris. And it says Strike Force on the back. I said, wait a minute, I'm Kris. I mean, I'm Kris with a K, and it did say Kris with a C, but I mean, it's spelled a little bit different. But I mean, I'm Kris. I put the sweater on, walk around. Hey, Kris. I'm like, yeah. Strike Force. I'm like, well, no. Kris, though, got half of it right. Well, I mean, not all the way right, because it's spelled different. But so I had that sweater, and they ended up, yeah. So I didn't really kick with those dudes much over the tattoo and over the stealing from it, all that kind of stuff. I had a couple of friends that were sharp. I mean, I had a real big crush on this girl, Andrea. Her brother, Aaron, was a sharp skin. So I'd want to go to Aaron's house, hang out with him so I could stare at his sister, Andrea. I mean, not stare. I mean, it sounded different in my head when I was going to say it. Not stare, like a strong glance. Just like somewhat of a glance, like barely know she's there. Like, oh, hi, you're here. He was my buddy, and this dude, Brett. Brett had a car. I mean, very attractive. 14-year-old runaway. I mean, friend. Hey, Brett, come pick me up. I mean, that's like, nice option to have. Here comes a Brett. And his parents kind of like felt sorry for me a little bit. You know, I was like a runaway, and I'd wear his clothes. And they had like the perfect family, like a pool in the backyard, white picket fence. Mom and dad married 20 years. And one night at Brett's house, like I always am, and we're pilfering in the garage, whatever. And we find these pictures, and they're very recent. And they're of his dad, scantily clad. He wasn't looking mad. He was looking bad. Oh, sorry. His dad, butt-ass naked with some lot lizard tweaker whore. His dad was some tweaker whore in a motel room. They're all naked. And here's the pictures. Here's the proof. And I saw start busting out laughing. And he was laughing too, so I like laughed because he laughed. But in hindsight, because I thought about it later, of course I thought about it later. You think that whole image of seeing those pictures never entered my head again? Come on now. Later on, it entered my head again, like it would from time to time. And I don't think Brett was laughing. I was laughing and feeding off his laughter, but his laughter was like, and he's like witnessing like his parents' divorce unfold right in front of him, like, and I was like, I don't know, he doesn't make. But he was like my good friend, so yeah. But Chad didn't like none of those fools, and I was a skinhead for several years. I would sit, and I'll tell you why I quit being a skinhead, and this is exactly what happened. There was this dude, he's a suicidal. Am I skipping over anything in my notes? Okay. Yeah. I was scared for a few. The reason why I got out of it, because I was hanging out with 4 friends of mine, comrades, I thought were solid dudes. And we're hanging out at the spot party, and there's this suicidal. Everyone's scared of this suicidal. He's in and out of the pen. I'm in my teens. Most of my friends are like early 20s, late teens. This dude's like late 20s. In and out of the pen, he's just crazy and sick with it. Always carry like an ice pick and just real like a bully. He would go to parties and he'd take his hat off, go to person want to put money in it. So we're all partying, we're all get drunk. He comes with an idea to do a beer run. Let's go do a beer run. I'm not even drinking. I was hanging out for the thrill of it. So we all get in the car and go do a beer run. He has his ice pick. He tells me, you're going to do the beer run. I'm like, what? He goes, you go in and grab the beer and bring it out. I'll be outside. If anyone chases you, I'll get them. Don't worry, you'll get away. Don't disrespect me by not doing it, thinking you won't get away because you're telling me that I won't do nothing. You're telling me that I won't help you get away when you try to come out. Don't disrespect me by not doing it. I'm just like, blah, 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 blah. Disrespect for what? What do you say about the disrespect? Huh? So anyway, I go in and I don't want to do it. I walk out and say, nah, I'm going to give you one more chance. Don't disrespect me. I came with the disrespect shit. So then we go to another store, and at those times they were shooting people at like liquor stores. They should have went to like a 7-Eleven or A&PM where it has like an hourly worker who's not that invested in the beer, like go and take it. They went to like a privately owned, the owner is like working the cash register and he's invested and that's his money to run out the door with. They're not having it. I went in there and went to grab the beer and they could tell by looking at my baby face, I'm not 21, it's like, put it down. Put the beer down. So I put it down and I walk out. He doesn't even let me explain. Boom, punches me and knocks me out. Knocks me smooth out. I wake up in the back of the car. I like come to, we go back to the apartment, everyone's all drinking, I'm just sitting there, kicked me in my head a couple times, I was sitting on the ottoman, he come walking by, just go, bam, kick me with his dog, around my head, beat my ass a couple different times. He's like 28 or something, I'm like 16 or so, 16, and just beat my ass with some fucked up shit. And no one had my back. And even if none of us could beat him up individually, like all of us can get him, and even if we couldn't, then we all get beat up together. I mean, come on, now we stand together, we fall together. What's the shit you guys just let me, the littlest one, the youngest one, you guys just let me get my ass beat by this fool? So, bro, it left a sour taste in my mouth. I'm like, you guys eat a bowl of dicks. Then I had this one other dude, this traditional skinhead, Steve, I kicked with. Love him, love his old lady Jennifer. Cool people, man. But he would drink, and he'd want to start these fights with me all the time. He'd be like, yeah, man. He's like, Kris, dude, I got in a fight with this dude at the store. He's like, look, I pushed him, and he'd push me exactly like he pushed the guy. And he's like, yeah, this other time this guy came, he's like, look, I went in and I headbutted him. And he'd headbutt me exactly how he headbutted the guy. And I was like, take a little bit off it, but homeboy, like, I get it. You could even just tell me verbally without any of this action, and I'll pick up on it. Like, if you just told me, like, I headbutted him would be sufficient, homeboy, would suffice, dog. But all this, like, you're putting hands on me and shit. And even if it wasn't even the wrestling and the punching, he'd be like, so, how do you feel about the 1 cent sales tax on gas? And I'd be like, gas sales tax? He's like, you believe it, you're behind it, huh? I can't believe you people. Can you give me one reason why we should even do it? And I'm like, he said sales gas tax? I can't believe you people. You're so freaking gullible. Someone jumped off a bridge, you jump off a tube. How'd you make it in life this far? And I just like, sorry? Like, what? What? Sells gas? And here's what I did to this one guy. So after a while, he called me, hey, you want to kick it? I'm like, nope. Charlie Holmes. So quit kicking with him. So just all the skinny homeboys I had, just, bro. Then I ended up moving on with my homeboy, not my homeboy, duh. My cousin, Scrap Diego, his mom and dad, my aunt and uncle, again, living with the aunt and uncle. But living in Rexon Acres, where I was born and raised, at elementary school, hooked up with my childhood friends. Met Alicia and Uncle Ron when I was living with them my freshman year. I went to freshman year with my Rexon Acre homeboys, because Rexon Acres goes to South High. So my elementary school friends, hooked back up with them, Woods, doing the damn thing, grew my hair out, and turned into a dirt hand and started playing guitar. And the crazy thing about it is, when I was a skinhead, that was one of our main enemies. We'd go out looking for dirt heads. We'd go out looking for the dudes with the long hair, and the Iron Maiden shirts, and the rockers, and we'd get out, we'd just try to fight them. And that's why I ended up getting kicked out of school for kicking one with my steel-toe boots. I begged my mom to get me some Joe Hawkins 7-eyelet double yellow stitching steel-toe boots for my 16th birthday, and I got them, and I went to school and kicked this dirt head in the legs with them. With my brand new steel toes. Ended up getting busted and getting arrested, all kinds of bullshit. Expelled from school. 3,000 May, man. So, but when I start going to jail, there was no one around to say, hey, when I'm saying, hey, what's up? Splinter, Rexon Acre, Peckerwood, there's no one around to be like, hey, skinhead, I remember you used to be a skinhead. Because if someone were to pop up like that, someone would be like, I remember you. It could be like a potential problem for me. I'm not telling no one I'm a skinhead. I'm not bringing it up. I'm not a part of a clique. But I mean, surely, like, I mean, if someone were to bring, but there's no one to bring it up. Except one person. There's only one person that could possibly bring it up. And that's this dude, Matt. He's a Pleasant Valley. He's a good friend of mine. He had a half pipe in his backyard, and we always used to go skate it. And he's a skinhead, and he's one of the skinheads that got involved in this whole big old thing where they ran up in this house with bats, and they came running out of the house with the bats, and a cop happened to be driving by. Like, whoa, what are you guys doing with the bats? And, like, baseball game back there in the apartments. They ended up getting busted. Some people took it to trial and beat it. Trip on that. Some people just went ahead and took a deal, got some time. Matt did some time. He's at Pleasant Valley forever. And I know that if I would have come driving up, he would have been like, Chris, what's up? What's up, comrade? And he would have told the other skinheads, hey, there's a skinhead here. My buddy Kris from Bakersfield. I know him real good. And I'd have been like, no. But what I said, I was only skinhead for a couple years. 14, 15, 16, maybe a little bit 17. Didn't belong to any organization, so can't be a dropout. Didn't drop out of anything. To me, it was a lifestyle. To me, it was a fad. To me, it was the music and the clothing. That's what it was for me. And the fellowship and the camaraderie. But how good is the camaraderie when your comrades let you get beat down by some suicidal? What's up with all that? I'm a physical fool. And I bumped into that fool years later. And I always thought, man, if I ever see him, and I ended up seeing him in the dope house. And I felt sorry for him. He looked all sad and shot out. And I didn't want to be the bully he was to me by putting my smash on him. Although I could have. And that felt good enough. Just like I'm going, man, I could just take his legs right out from underneath them. No, I mean. But I think I got a little bit of PTSD from that. That was crazy. It was crazy, man. And I wanted to leave that apartment when he was beating my ass. I wanted part of me wanted fight or flight. I really wasn't in a position to fight. Dude, I wanted to leave that apartment so bad I wasn't in a position to. Until finally my friend Chad said, hey, let's go, I'm take you home. Like, why are you just now saying this shit? And he took me home, and I thought we were being followed. And then when I went home, I thought someone was out of my door. It was like, man, it was a trippy experience, man. Anytime you have any kind of, anything put off on you like that, any kind of like violence perpetrated upon you, man, it's going to fizz up with your head. I had a little tiny mouse. You guys know I hate rodents, but I had Pistol Pete. He had PTSD. My little tiny mouse did. Pistol Pete, because I didn't put him, but I bought him from this guy who put him in with a snake. So there's 5 mice in with the snake, and the snake ate like 4 of them, but didn't eat Pistol Pete. He was just all bouncing around, and so he wouldn't eat him, so he took him out and sold him. I bought him, put him in a cage, and he was just like, he was tripped out, dog. Like, where's that snake? You see that snake? I kind of like put my arm and he thinks it's a snake. He's like, whoa, whoa. He had PTSD. For real, though. Because May, shout out to you guys, man. It's the last day of the month. Come on, July, bring it. It's going to be hotter than a mofo here in Bakersfield. And I'm going to be working. I'm going to be framing. Shout out. Yay, me. You know what's crazy is when you're framing and you're on that concrete pad, the concrete pad, what it does, it absorbs heat. So it's just like a hot rock and you're standing on that bad boy and you're framing, putting that frame together. But I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. I already got some color in my face. Look how pale I am. I roll around on the pale side, you know what I mean? But I got some color in my face. From Sacramento, from swimming, being the Sacramento River. Shout out to Sacramento. Hey, I'm going to cut the string and let it fly. I want to do another video. I might go ahead, since it's the last day of the month. Don't like hold me to it, but I really want to do the video on, since so many people are requesting it, me and Green.eyegemini and how that all unfolded and came together. So yeah, let's do that. Or, you know what I mean? Let's think about thinking about it or something like that. And yeah, all that in a big bucket of boats. So that's where we're at. I'm going to cut the string and let it fly. Peace.